With that, I would like to welcome our guests joining us today from the Como Zoo, and friends of the Como Zoo. So we have Erica and Katie here, and with that, I'm just gonna pass it over to you.
Sure. Well, I introduced myself at the beginning, but I have been with St. Paul Parks and Recreation for I think it's about 7 years now. As you know, I get a little nervous when there's people in the room who certainly know much more of the history than I do. So please be gentle, but you know, Como Parks and Conservatory is a department of St. Paul Parks and Recreation. Many of you may know Michelle Fuhrer was the previous director of the campus. She left about a year ago, and I came over. It was supposed to be just on a temporary basis, and I absolutely fell in love with the staff, and you know, kind of the mission, how the work was getting done and the challenges that I saw facing the campus, and I wanted to be part of creating creating new history in the campus. And the timing was really perfect because at the same time Michelle left Jackie Strika, who had led the Como Friends nonprofit that supports Como, was leaving, and Katie came on, and we have a lot of we have so much excitement and passion to bring to the table, and collaboration. We're excited. So we didn't know how much how often Michelle came to you in the past and how deep you wanted to get into things, so we can, this is kind of an overview, not super in depth, but stop us along the way anytime that you have questions or yeah. All right, so Como Parks and Conservatory, why it matters.
I'm doing like 4 things right now, so feel free to be like, Jessica. No, that's okay.
So, it is amazing that this, little, neighborhood gem, has such an impact on, our state, and the region. We did an economic impact study a number of years ago, so it's probably more than that at this time, but $200 million in annual economic impact because of our little neighborhood gem. We are Minnesota's most visited cultural attraction with close to 200 million visitors annually. That's about double what the Minnesota Zoo has, and
We're not competitive.
we're not competitive. Someday I'm gonna figure out the land percentage, but they have more than quadruple the amount of acreage that we have. So we get a lot of visitors. The next slide, I think, goes into the demographics a little bit, but a lot of those are young folks. As you can see here, 47% of our visitors are from the metro area, but not St. Paul. 15% are from out of state, 22% from greater Minnesota, and 18% Yeah, 16 or 18% of visitors are from the city of St. Paul. Our Como Park Zoo and Conservatory is, it is a regional asset. But it is operated by the city of St. Paul, with support from the state, with support from Como Friends, and other earned revenue and voluntary donations. The largest percentage of our budget comes from the general fund. We 14% of our budget, annually comes from Home Our Friends, our nonprofit partner.
Sorry, I was sharing the wrong
It's okay.
thing with everybody.
Oh.
They were getting a wonderful view of
Us?
Shevek's inbox.
Oh.
Shame, Shevek.
All
All right, sorry, folks.
The operating support that we get from the state, in most years comes from, the legacy fund. It funds all of the free, many of the like free value added programs we have. So, Groovin in the garden in the summer, music under glass and in the winter, a lot of our, programming, just what is it? I always forget that. Little Explorers, for families with young kids, we have sensory friendly days, senior strolls. Those are programs that are funded by the state. On to the next one. Any questions or? Okay.
I think we do actually have questions about the budget, but please go, but
Okay.
we'll come back to it.
Okay. We don't have to go into this, you know.
Not like on the spot. no.
That's right.
But just,
Just to give you kind of an overview of how our staffing is laid out, we have a marketing and public relations division. We have a horticulture curator that oversees all of our like indoor and outdoor staff that work in the conservatory and on our grounds. We have a education and conservation curator that runs all of our school programs and fee-based programs. So I don't know if any of you signed up for the Orchid Odyssey class. That one it fills up very quickly, but it's one of our adult programming classes that we have. And then we have a director, it's the animal curator, director of animal care and health that oversees all of our zookeepers and our veterinary staff. And then we have our visitor services manager that oversees all of our interpretive staff, directs our volunteers, and then our amazing maintenance staff.
Oops, sorry.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna get into some zoo highlights here, from over the past year. We had some really cute births. You can go on to the, well, I'll start here. Our tigers are, over a year old now, but, they're still, really fun to watch. They finally, so there's a mom, and Max and Marissa are the twins. Max is old enough now that he has to be separated from his mom and sister, so they sort of rotate days out on exhibit. But they're still really fun and charismatic animals to see. On the next slide, you'll see we had the cutest baby doll sheep that was born in the last year. And then on the right, we have that's the Tamarin family. I thought you could see it better, but on the back of the father actually is baby Blue, who is our baby that was born in the last year. On the next slide, you'll see some new arrivals that we've had in the past year. Yoshi is one of our bison. Our bison we work with the oh, should I remember that? That's right. It's the DNR. There's a DNR program on releasing bison back into repopulating. Yeah, correct. Sorry, thank you. So Yoshi is one of 5 bison that we have on campus, but Yoshi is the newest one. Let's see, next slide. We got a shark. lemurs, are the porcupines, which I did not expect to be so excited about, but the porcupines actually came from, if you guys remember Sequest.
Oh,
That was at, Roseville. We took in, two porcupines and they're so fun. They're so fun to watch. I didn't think, that I would be so excited about those, but they're inside the cat's building. Yeah. And then I think one of the most exciting, you can go on to the next one of the most exciting things that happened over the past year was, the addition of our female polar bear, Astra. We have a zookeeper, Allison Youngheim, who is the head of the international, or sorry, Polar Bear Population Alliance. So, there are, only a limited number of, female polar bears under human care, that are able to breed. And so there is a really concentrated effort to make, scientific based, decisions around where these polar bears are kept, who they're partnered with, all the conditions in which, we can make, repopulation successful. And one of our zookeepers, Allison, is the head of that, international committee. So it's quite prestigious that she does that, work. But, Astra, we're past breeding season. There's no pregnancy tests really for polar bears. So we are just crossing our fingers that she's pregnant. We've done a lot of work with the help of, Como Friends to prepare a den, for her. She will start denning, in August or September, I believe. We have spent a lot of money, on cameras, to put in there. So I'm hoping we have good news, and that there's the polar bears when they're born they're tiny.
Oof.
Unbelievably tiny. But it'll be pretty cool if we
And
have a little.
scientifically important and significant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I'm sorry, thank you. All right, I think,
I hear roaring on the block away and just wow.
Oh, yeah.
Is it tigers? Is it lions? What?
that's probably, it probably is, was Mumford, our lion. We had, Mumford and Maji, lion pair. Mumford, we discovered that when Mumford had cancer, not too long ago. It was in his nasal cavity, and, it progressed to the point where we needed to humanely euthanize him. So lions live, in prides or in groups. So, Maji, the female lion, will find another place for her, where she can, be in a healthy environment. I'll kind of get into the future of the cats exhibit a little bit later, but, it's usually the male lion when they're partnered, but now that Mumford is gone, Maji is, roaring.
Very
Yeah, so. The tigers do make noises. The other thing that you may have heard in the past is the wolves. They particularly when there's sirens that go by. It's pretty cool. We got two new, zebras, over the winter. They're really fun to watch. It's a father and a son, and the son is kind of mean to his dad. They're constantly chasing each other. They're fun too. Another, just like one kind of last cool highlight I thought I'd include is, we have, for neighbors particularly, we have a new browse, donation program. So, you can, if you're doing any, trimming in your yard, there's a list of, approved browse that you can bring, but, you can donate them, and then we use those for, some of the animals like giraffe and gorillas. It's good for their digestion and. All right, I think the next, the following slides, are just some updates from our horticulture team. This was me and Katie working in the sunken garden, during one of the. Yes, during one of the, show changes in the sunken garden. Go on to the next one. So, they're putting a lot more effort in the sunken garden, shows, that change, over the course of the year to have, to not just, be. Not just kind of talk about like the colors that they're choosing, but to have some storytelling behind, what is in the garden. So look to our website to kind of see that as the shows change. I don't know if any of you got over, last summer to see the corpse flower bloom. I cannot believe how long people waited in line to see and smell it, but it was pretty cool.
Jessica said, I sent it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I said, but he also sent it to Gordon like 15 minutes ago, so.
No, that was me, and that one doesn't work.
Oh.
Sorry, we're still trying to find this
Okay.
link, okay.
Yeah, it's okay. The next slide is, this is something, I learned something new every day. I've worked for, St. Paul Parks and Rec. And even more now that I'm at Como. We got a call sometime last year from the, Custom and Border Control, that they had confiscated, it was like 1,000 of these, carnivorous, yeah, thank you. Carnivorous, plants that were being, someone was attempting to illegally import, smuggling them into the country. We're one of, the approved sites for these confiscated, plants. So we now have and we can decide if we're gonna take them or not, and we thought this was a pretty cool thing to take, so we now have a pretty cool collection of carnivorous, plants. We use them in our education programming, and they're a pretty big hit.
But we also use them as integrated pest management.
Yes.
To keep bad bugs out of certain, when in the fridge with the seedlings are growing, right?
Yeah.
That, I thought that's fascinating.
Yeah.
What do they eat?
All different kinds of bugs.
Like rotisserie chicken or that?
The picture, there's
There's
ones that get them out.
But yeah, the big ones would. Let's see what's on our next one here. Oh, this is a picture we sent some staff to do training, specialized training. With somebody that, focuses on Japanese garden, and, this was some like specific.
It's a specific type of masonry.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna even pretend like I don't know,
But
but we can get back to it.
It's pretty cool that we have that expertise, taking, and we have access to external experts that can help us with the Japanese garden. And a lot of that work is funded by our great friends, Como Friends, yeah. I think this is just some pictures of some of our gardeners and horticulture staff working with public programming. Parks. More cool pictures, at the bottom in the middle, we we hired an art conservator to, to come in and help with some of our art collection, and this is just that was a picture of them putting the statue back in the sunken garden after we did look in there. The next slide's just some of our education highlights, because we're coming up on it now, just thought I'd highlight our summer camps. They sell out incredibly fast. They actually are opening up 2 new camps
At the end of summer, which is hard.
Those are
Yes, so
You're looking for.
you're looking. One of the cool things that we did last year that we're bringing back again this year is, we want to be inclusive to, to all young folks. There are some kids that need additional support, that our camp, that we weren't, equipped to handle, with our staffing ratios previously. We've hired, camp care specialists, that work with, students that have, special needs in schools, and they're working with our camp counselors now to provide that, extra support in our program so that we can serve more kids. We also offer scholarships, for our camps, and those are funded, by. We have a great partnership with St. Paul Public Schools. We've expanded that over the last year. A new 2nd grade plant detective program.
Which is so fun. I did
Yeah.
that field trip with my kids. That was really fun.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear. The 4th grade Wild About Conservation program was new, and funded by Como Friends. And then so our partnership with St. Paul Public Schools, they provide, busing for, is it both 2nd and 4th grade? So they pay for all 2nd and 4th grade classrooms in St. Paul Public Schools, and then, Como Friends helps to support the actual programming that's taking place, so it's awesome. A little about our interpretive program. So we have we have a lot, I don't even know how many interpretive staff that work 24, or not 24, 365. 365 days a year to welcome staff, to engage them, to provide interpretation to our various exhibits. That's a lot of work for over 2 million visitors. This year we introduced some new programming, our fish talk, tiger talk, porcupine talk. But they do an incredible job. Let's see what our next one. Just highlighting volunteers and interns. I think we have, I can't remember. Like 10,000 volunteer hours, something like that.
Like 600 volunteers.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Last year, we really could not function without our volunteers. They're amazing. We have a youth volunteer program called Nature Walk that works in the summer, to provide additional interpretive stations across the campus. Something I'm super passionate about is our Right Track program. So Right Track is the City of St. Paul's youth career exposure and summer, and we offer internships all year, but internship program for young folks. We are gonna continue to grow the number of interns that we can have on campus. It provides a really meaningful experience and exposure to a number of different career opportunities when we work with Right Track. Our apprentices are also funded through Right Track, but this is a higher level internship program that targets folks that are interested in careers, in the zoo or horticulture. This is important, particularly for zoos. The kind of way that you get into a zookeeper position generally has been that you are a volunteer for, you know,
X number of years.
X number of years, or that you are doing an unpaid internship. There's obviously equity issues with that, and so we are paying our apprentices. We've hired, we have an apprentice that we've hired as a full-time zookeeper. We have a few that have been placed at other zoos around the country, which is a success for us as well. And then we have some that are working kind of temporary positions that we're hoping to hire, but it's great. You can go on to the next one. Our rental and events team, we hosted over 300 weddings last year, and other types of events. Our team produced and hosted 16 concerts that were attended by, you know, roughly 10,000 people. Some of those are Music Mondays in the summer. We have like a New Orleans brass band that walks through campus on Mondays throughout the summer. It's pretty cool. Music Under the Glass, which is absolutely magical. If you haven't come, please do. You won't regret it, I promise. Grooving in the Garden in the summer is just, it's so fun, you know, to get over there. This last year we expanded and got permits to allow food trucks, so there's some different food options there. Oban Festival and maybe some more events. This is very new news, and I'm excited to talk about this. We have had a bonding request with at the Capitol for, you know, 5 years or so, to replace the current cats exhibit there. And we heard in the last couple days that we were successful in getting $9.35 million for the first phase of what we're calling cats and other African animals exhibit. The first phase will be the lion exhibit. It will replace like where the wolves exhibit is currently. So sadly, our wolves are leaving. We have a great spot for them to go. They're going to a sanctuary. The current cats exhibit will remain open for the time being, while we work on transition places for the animals that are actually, you know, but it's super exciting. We have been working on this bonding request for years. And there was a lot of competition this year, yeah. Priorities for me and Katie in this year. Como Friends funded a campus concept plan. That's something that we're hoping that we can engage you folks in. So this will be looking at our physical infrastructure and looking ahead at where and what we want to see both the zoo and conservatory grounds look like in the future. We have a newly finished conservation strategic plan that we're implementing, so that's a priority. We are an AZA accredited zoo, which is really kind of the highest standard that you can have on a zoo. And we are up for accreditation right now. Our inspection, we've turned in all our paperwork, and we'll have inspectors here at the end of June for a 3-day site visit, and then we'll have a hearing at the end of September where we'll hear whether or not we're think I talked about my passion for the Right Track and Apprentice program. You know, you all live in the city, you know, that we have budget, challenges facing the city, and we're not immune to that. We are looking at other, revenue opportunities, that may be a good fit for the campus, and that may help out with some of our, the budget challenges that we have. Let's see, if you guys have, I'm sure you see the trucks coming and coming and going and coming and going. We're gonna continue to work on the geothermal project. Where we're at, kind of with that project right now, and where you'll see traffic over the summer is, we're building we have to build a new building on our service drive, so that you'd be able to see it from the golf course side. But it will house, some of the mechanical equipment that is required for, the geothermal project. He talked about big cats and then, you know, just looking at other funding opportunities for the campus. Those are my priorities, and yours too. Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I might just, for the sake of time, I want to be respectful of your meeting agenda, so Como Friends is, I'm used to this. We just love our job so much, it's hard not to go down the rabbit hole. So we are the 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we do fundraising explicitly for Como Park, Zoo and Conservatory. And our mission is just to sustain Como so that it can continue to thrive for generations to come through inspiring the community generosity. We're a small but mighty team. We're housed on the campus, but we are not a city entity. We are a partner. It's a public-private partnership. Again, you all might know more about it than we do, having been here as long as some of you have in the neighborhood, so you know it's involved. But we do our work through advocacy at the Capitol for things like the bonding bill, supporting Como. We do individual, you know, fundraising from individuals, corporations, grants, foundations, and then we also run the retail operation on campus. So every time you buy a little stuffy or keychain or something at the gift shops, at Como, you are very directly supporting Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. So that is sort of our overview. You can kind of.
I was like, I thought you were kind of zooming through here, so we'll get the pictures though.
We do have a board of directors, many neighbors are on that board. This is kind of our team org chart, which is probably a little too nitty gritty for this. But yeah, so this is our, you know, we do events as well, fundraising events. We have a big one coming up in July, Sunset Affair. I think we're celebrating 25 years of that specific event this year. And then we work with individuals at all levels who would like to contribute to support free admission at its core, as well as education and conservation programming, animal well-being, animal care, plant care, you know, all the wonderful magic. So those were some.
Oh, you're still going. Okay. I just didn't know. Tell me if I need to stop.
These are some nitty gritty breakdowns. You can see we do have a pretty diversified revenue strategy. We're currently going through some strategic planning just for our fundraising organization, because we've been doing things the same way for a very long time, and the world is changing. So we're trying to really assess how we're doing it, what we're doing, where the biggest opportunities are, and how we're aligning our capacity with those opportunities. So that is happening now. And, you know, this is our vision, as you know, maintaining that barrier-free access and really making sure that Como has the support it needs to be the world-class institution that it truly is. It can be. And great, continue to be free. Yeah, it's really the core. That we do a lot of what we do is fueled by storytelling. I brought some of our quarterly magazine copies for you all that we share with members and supporters, but we do a lot of storytelling of all the great work that's happening on campus. And from all these different channels. Lots of events. We had Como After Hours last night, which sold out at 500 tickets, which was exciting for us. That was the biggest it's ever been. And we had a surprise celebrity cameo from there, which was wonderful. And just, it was a lot of fun. We'll have another one of those in the fall. So, mark your calendars. We have membership programs, animal garden sponsorships. We do planned giving. We work with folks on bench dedications and offer special benefits for our supporters and donors. And our retail really is industry leading, which you might not know and you might not expect from a gift shop, but it's incredible. The amount of inventory, the scale at which they are on price point for the audience that comes through, and the thoughtfulness behind every single item that you will find in there. There's some sort of conservation or collection tie to everything that is in there. So we're really proud of our retail operation. I think it does get enough love for what it is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the advocacy for funding bills, and then we typically will complement those with the capital campaign. Right now, we got what we wanted for phase 1, so we're not talking about that yet. Stay tuned. And a lot of great grant writing and working with foundations where we can. If anybody knows of any corporate or foundation folks that are really interested in zoos, conservatories, conservation or education programs, or free access to cultural institutions, please let me know, because they are getting more and more specific in their giving priorities, and we are getting edged out. Right. So just to ask for help. And then, yes, we do. We have some on-site sponsors like our friends at Blaze for the Blaze Sparky Show, and Excel Energy help support our polar bear and conservation work. And we have some endowments, so we also work with investments and endowments to help secure our funding future in the long run. This is again sort of nitty gritty, but just we didn't know really how deep you all like keep on flying through. And then, we work really closely with the community volunteers and staff professionals who are incredible and make it all possible for us to fundraise for. And we support Como. So our actual purpose is literally just to raise money, and then at the end of the year, I get to write a really big check and hand it to Erica. For the specific priorities that Erica has identified are what the campus needs. So it's a really beautiful collaboration, and it goes through very official city processes, and it's structured in a way that's really unique, and it's actually going to become a model for the private public partnership for other organizations. There we go. That's all I got. We tried to go.
They can come over anytime.
Yeah. What questions do you have?
Yeah, well, and I think I first want to say thank you guys and welcome to the zoo and to the neighborhood. One thing that I think everyone here can probably attest to, and anyone who has lived in Como, is that we feel a deep sense of ownership over the park and over the zoo, sometimes well beyond what we actually have. And I think the thing that we often will try to do is figure out, like, when people have those strong opinions about what they want in the space, how can we harness that to the involvement in the action pieces, to like make those connections. It's not that they aren't only about opinion, but can they also be about action in some way? And so one of the, we've been hearing about the big cat exhibit, and I think that there's been, people have asked us, like, what's happening, like, where are the cats going? Are they leaving forever? Are they coming back? And so I think that those questions are always out there. But then when we had our annual meeting this year, the mayor came along with an attaché of people, and one of the things that she specifically talked about was the gap between the operating costs of the zoo and the amount of money that the zoo brings in. It was sort of like, well, don't you guys know about this? Well, we know, and we've never heard about this before. And I think she was specifically interested in, like, number one, I think the neighborhood, again, using some of that feeling of ownership to try to prompt involvement and support. And that's kind of what we have been hoping to hear from you guys, especially as we, you can kind of have the same people who are working through the same pathways. And so when we get new people, there's new pathways. And I think the board stands ready to be part of new pathways as we can to like try to connect people from the neighborhood in a substantive way to visit the conservatory. It's not really a question, that's a statement.
Yeah, but yeah, we will appreciate, we appreciate it, and, that is something that I have come to like really love about the city of St. Paul and how strongly folks feel about the private place, yeah, absolutely. And, we know that that's an asset and we're ready to, deal with it when it gets a little hard too, so, yeah, we appreciate that. It's, it's unique for a city to, but it's not necessarily unique for a city to operate a zoo and conservatory. It is becoming, less and less an operating model.
We're one of 4 free,
But
metropolitan zoos in the country.
But it is absolutely, very unique to be free and that is something that we're really committed and dedicated to continue. But we're also such a regional, we're such a regional and state asset. And so while the city is supporting this, and believes it's important, we need to have, I feel like we need a more reliable, partnership with the state to operate. And previously, the funding strategy really had been, to, in addition to the operating, but the capital investments, they just had been going to the state every 10 years or so with this monstrous ask to replace exhibits on a 1-for-1 basis. And both Katie and I know that that's not sustainable. And we need capital, we need capital investment on a more regular basis. We can't wait for 10 years. I mean, these are buildings that that we can see here were built during the WPA. Yeah, we are,
And it's
So-
more feast and famine mentality, which is what keeps up infrastructure.
Yeah, and we do have the sales tax referendum that passed that is providing, some much needed support for deferred maintenance in the parks system. We generate the vast majority of service requests or work orders for the operations department of parks. But it's really hard for me to see I don't want it to become this, it's the zoo and the conservatory versus, the kids and the ball fields, it should be both, we provide, some of the same, but different, impacts to. So we're trying to find ways to talk about it and tell the story in ways that that can get us the support that.
Sounds like the mayor's on the same page, and she told us at that annual meeting that she's going to ramp up the lobbying.
Yeah.
To the state.
It is helpful,
She knows what they're looking for, having the previous position.
Yeah.
Helps to have inside strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and we do, there have been instances of, sort of more public engagement around lobbying and around advocacy at the Capitol. I think we were both new in this last year and, finding our footing and understanding those relationships and when it is helpful to call on, call your people, use this letter, do all of that. And so it's not that we're opposed to that. We just have not got to that stage in our kind of has to be campaigning strategy. But it's definitely something that has been recommended by the so.
Yeah, when people show up, it is different than our lobbyists are talking about things and we know that this is important that and that there's like, ownership over Como. When the Minnesota Zoo opened, it's my understanding that Como Zoo was supposed to close, and it was really the like very immediate community that lobbied and advocated for it to stay open.
And it was an assigned state that the monorail went up and the Minnesota Zoo was the
Yeah.
future of this just worked. Right back at the time.
Yeah,
With that cats building and those cats just
yeah,
walking back and forth in their concrete.
yeah.
So it's just so much better.
And that's one thing, you know, that is. It has been really like kind of rapidly changing the standards for animal care and welfare are really changing and we have had this large menagerie of animals on campus. I think in some cases, like it has happened on you know, just like, oh, you know, do you guys have room for this kind of, and we're, part of the campus planning process is to be more thoughtful about the animal collection. How do they connect to our conservation stories and mission? Really practical things like, we have a winter, how much square footage? It's winter, it's cold here a lot of the year, like, do we have animals that are gonna be really expensive to keep in the winter or that can't go outside in the winter? Yeah, so like, we're trying to be, kind of tie all those things together, so you know. One thing I know is that the future will be less animals and better, more enriching exhibits.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. I'll say if there's any other questions before we.
Can you talk about revenue enhancements? What's on that list?
It's everything from doing
Raising the
more.
price of wedding.
Yeah, we have, so some of the things that we have done is, like, we did a study on how much, like, our peers were charging for events like, wedding rentals, et cetera, and we were far below the market. And Minnesota Bride wanted to come do, like, they were featuring Como, in, I guess, an upcoming, feature, and so we did that study before they came to, you know, to do the spread, and we've increased our prices, and it like, without a hiccup, there hasn't been any, like, any pushback on that. We doubled we doubled our voluntary donation ask, so it was $2 for children and $4 for adults, and we went to 8 and 5.
Just in signage, just a recommendation.
Yeah, it's just voluntary donation. We are looking at adding additional, like, adult and other, like, fee-based programming. We're trying to add additional camps, adding one additional camp a summer brings in over $40,000. That's before, like, staff costs, but so things like that. We're also looking at events, and, you know, this certainly would be something that we'd want to engage the neighborhood in, but you remember Zubu. As a parent, I loved Zubu, and I was so sad that it went away, and I'd love to have some sort of we want to activate the space at times of the year, when it's not really active, so thinking about like in the winter, bringing in some kind of winter light thing, or, something around, the fall again. Yeah, those are kind of,
I could take you way back, but there was a time before ESPN and cable TV that there was a sports show called ABC Wide World of Sports.
Yeah.
And they would come to Como Lake to feature the National Speed Skating Championship. So there would be television cameras, it was a national audience at Como Lake featuring the rink.
mhm,
And again, these were people qualifying for the Olympics, I mean, it was a big deal, so it's not as if Park has never been there.
yeah,
Jim McKay, I'm announcing from Colin Park in St. Paul, Minnesota, the National Speed Skate Championship, so, yeah, it's been there, it's a function of what we look to do.
yeah.
I have a question though, is there a relationship between Como Town and the Zoo and Conservatory?
Yeah, Como Town is run by a Lancer, and they're like, we have a contract with them, they're our vendor.
Okay, it's not a huge moneymaker either way, I just thought,
We do get a lot of money from Lancer.
you do, okay. That was on your little-
I don't know that it's I think that, it's hard, sometimes like when people talk about Como Town, you gotta like kind of put on your little kid eyes and view it through that lens. But I certainly think that there's room for improvement there. I mean, they are bringing in a new ride. They're open to doing some things differently too. But we know that it's getting a little outdated in that space.
It is unique in that it serves that very specific in-between age. I don't know what the technical term is, but it's not a little kid and it's not a teenage, it's just. So it really suits that sweet spot with the selection and the opportunity, but it gets a lot of wear and tear, just like home.
Yeah.
So the upkeep it's significantly, it's more significant than you would expect.
Yeah.
But it is something, we're looking into enhancing, bringing it up to the level.
Well, thank you two so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We hope that this isn't the last time we sit down.
You.